Welcome to the 5-year anniversary of the channel. Mike Texts it out. Of course, I'm Mike, your host for the evening. This isn't the evening. This is the afternoon, and I'm here during the day for the first time ever. No, not first time ever. I'm here during the day for a live stream. I can't remember what I did last year. My last live stream was literally my 4-year anniversary last year because 2023 was a train wreck in general, so I didn't do as many live streams as I wanted to. So I'm back live for the first time. But if you watched my live streams through 2022, I used to do them at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, which was that was a choice. That was a choice. But yeah, I'm here. I'm here during the day for the 5-year anniversary of the channel. And whether you're watching live or on the archive, I just want to thank everybody for sticking with the channel. 2023, in my opinion, wasn't a great year for me in the channel. So, as far as like, I didn't do the amount of videos that I had been doing the previous years, and I wasn't really happy with the output. But thank you for sticking by the channel. I didn't have like any major subscriber loss either. You know, I still gained subscribers. I was still doing my weekly news videos. It's just the other videos like reviews and stuff like that that I feel like weren't there. That the regular content stream, it was one video a week during the week, and then one news video was like for years what I had done. So last year I really fell off. I fell off in 2022. Like I was alternating with live streams and then like other videos. The 23 I really was like done. But I do have a reason for that, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But let's talk about the history of the channel. So this started in January of 2019. It feels weird to say that because it doesn't sound like I've been on YouTube for that long. Realistically, I started in 2018 on my other channel that is dead with my husband, Jeff and Mike's Super Cool podcast, which I think is now like Super Cool Collectathon because we were going to switch it to like a collectibles themed thing. But then we did one video and then we never went back to it. At the time, we were doing a lot of collecting, which we still do. But it's just not as like big. Like we have a limited space. Like we live in a townhouse, so that the space is limited. So realistically, we just got to the point where it's like, do we really want to collect these things? And if so, are we gonna have the space for it? So anyway, that channel is like officially dead. But that was my first channel, was Jeff and Mike's Super Cool podcast. But anyway, yes, it's been 5 years on this channel. And yeah, it's been really fun. And like I said, 2023 wasn't the best thing for video wise, but I still had fun with a lot of the videos last year, especially my last video, which was the unboxing for the PlayStation Portal. And I did not expect to get another PS5 last year, but yeah, Spider-Man 2 came out and then that happened. And then the Portal was like this hard to get thing, and I finally got one. And yeah, so that was a fun video. I want to do more stuff like that. I have a bunch of Portal videos planned. But my plan going into this year is I want to do something that I realistically can sustain. Why am I so moist? If I'm moist, this happens a lot in my videos. I probably mentioned this before several times, but a lot of times before I do a video, like before this, I usually take a shower and then I end up like sweating a lot because my body is still like hot from the shower, and it's like worse than normal. And plus, when I'm recording or streaming, I don't have any fans on, which I would normally have like a fan on in here because of the noise. So yeah, there's that. There's a lot of stuff going on in my body. This is why I'm continuing to be moist at the moment. It's because of I just got out of the shower and it's hot in here. But yeah, I want to commit to one video a month, not excluding my news videos. I'm still gonna do the news every week like I've always done, but one like review type video or whatever. And I did the unboxing for the ROG Ally last year, which I didn't really care a lot for that video, but I meant to follow it up with like a full review. So I'm still going to do that. That's actually like the highest priority because I just want to get that done. Like I feel like it's way overdue. If there's anybody waiting for that video, I apologize. I just haven't had as much time to work on the videos. But again, thank you for sticking by me. And yeah, this year it's going to be It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be a lot more Mike texted out content. There might even be Secret Gaming Man videos again. I don't know. I think I did one last year. I think I did. Yeah, I did the Harry Potter one. I did do one last year. So at least I got one in last year. But more videos. I'm promising at least 12, one video a month. That seems low when I say it out loud. But it's probably gonna be more than one. But I just want to get something that I feel like is achievable, because what happened last year was I got fired. I quit slash got fired at the same time. So I ended up starting a new job, which if you follow the channel, that's not like unusual for me. I've had a lot of jobs. Usually I've been at a job for like a year or two, but I've been in the IT field for almost 10 years now. This will be my 10th year coming up in like March or something like that. But what happened was, at the beginning of 2023, there was a lot of fun where all these companies were doing these big layoffs and stuff. And everyone was like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to do my layoffs. And everyone was kind of joining in. It was like a team effort. All the big companies were like, oh, we're going to do our layoffs. Let's go ahead and do them. So the company that I work for, which I'm not going to name, they decided they were going to do their layoffs and, slip it under the radar, because all these other companies, they're a big company too. They're a Fortune 500 company. So it's not like they're a small company, but these much more the companies that people pay more attention to were doing like these massive layoffs. So they did like a little layoff, so that way it just slid under the radar. And yeah, so essentially what happened, if you caught any of my previous rants, I used to work at night. I used to work 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. Which is why I used to do those live streams at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I would do them after I get off work, or after I got off work at the time. So I get well, my husband woke me up to tell me, because I used to not wake up until like 4 o'clock. Because if I'm going to work at 5, I'm sleeping until I go to work. So I used to sleep till like 4 p.m. I'll go to sleep at like 8 or 9 in the morning, and I would sleep till like 4. So he woke me up and it was like, there's a mandatory meeting at 1 o'clock. Now, I'm working in help desk. If anybody's worked any kind of call center type job, then you know that they're not going to pull everyone off the phone at the same time, because basically you're just shutting down the whole phone line. So if they do that, that has to be something really important, like somebody died or everyone's getting fired, which we already figured that everyone was getting fired. So yeah, I got woken up at 1 by my husband, because our supervisor, he knows we're married or whatever, and we live in the same house. So obviously, he just told my husband to tell me to come in at 1 for this meeting. So we come in. So I come in. They pull everyone into. We all work from home, by the way. So the meeting was virtual, but they pull everyone into the meeting, and then yeah, they basically said they're outsourcing the help desk overseas, and so they were laying everybody off. So in the pantheon of the layoffs, there was only like 100 people affected, which sounds bad, but like if you look at Microsoft and they did like 10,000 employees, the company that I worked for at the time, they're like, "Are we gonna slip under the radar?" With like 100, and it's not gonna look that bad. I think even when the article came out, like the local article, they were like, "Oh, it's only 100 people in the layoffs." I'm like, "Yeah, but you don't have that many people that work in your office in general. So 100 people in comparison to like the total number, it's not like a lot. I mean, they have a lot of employees worldwide, but like in the actual corporate office. Anyway, the whole point is they pulled us in the meeting and they basically told us that we're getting laid off. Now, our team was actually not addressed in the meeting. So I was level 3 help desk for the company. They only addressed level 1 and 2, which were the hourly employees. My position was salary. And they told them like, yeah, we're going to give everybody 90 days. Everyone's going to get a severance and all this stuff. They're like, nobody's leaving without a 90-day notice and blah, blah, blah. And then they just didn't address our team at all. They like literally addressed level 1 and 2, and they didn't address us. So we didn't know what was going on. And the meeting ended, and then they told us like, "Oh, tomorrow everyone's gonna have to go up to the building in person and meet with HR." And I was like, so they didn't give us anything. So we were like, just twisting in the wind for the rest of the day. And I started to work that night. I got up early to go to the meeting to basically be told nothing related to my position, other than like the fact that they're laying a bunch of people off. And then I had to twist in the wind for another day. So, of course, I started applying for jobs immediately. I was like, nope, we're not doing this. So the next day, of course, my appointment ended up being in the morning, like at 8 a.m. So, again, I worked until 2, and then I had to go in like at 8 something. And then luckily my husband's appointment was like right before mine. So he had like the previous slot and then I had the slot after it. So he went in first and he got offered like a new version of the same position that we had. So I already knew what he got offered before I went in there. So I go in there and talk to the HR person and they offered me a customer service lead position, which I was like, at that point, I was like, I've been in tech for 9 years. I was like, I'm not going to do a customer service lead position. Not that there's anything wrong with working customer service. And to the company's credit, they were going to pay me more money than I was making in my current position. But for me, it's like my resume, the whole, like, just looking at that as a whole, like, I wasn't going to go to do a customer service job. It wouldn't make any sense as far as like my resume and the skill set that I already have. I felt like it would reflect negatively, like to go from every tech position that I've done, this all of a sudden go back to customer service because I really started in customer service. I started in fast food, back in like 2008, and then I bridged over to tech after getting like some experience in fast food and using that customer service experience as a bridge to get over to tech. I mean, it's been something I've been interested in my whole life, but I didn't have enough experience to actually get in. And I didn't have a degree at the time either. I was actually in school and I bridged over that way. So I wasn't going to go back to customer service. That would have felt like a huge step back after like 9 years. So the first thing I asked when I got offered this job from the HR person was like, because they didn't give us any other options. They gave us job offers and that was it. With level 1 and 2, they just basically gave them their severance and their end dates, which made sense for them. And then, of course, if they found a job before the end date, they could apply and stay with the company. But for us, they just gave us these jobs. And I was like, so what happens if I decline the job? And all they would say was like, well, we have to have another meeting. So here was the thing. Happened on the initial announcement was on a Tuesday. We had to go the next day, which was Wednesday. And then we had until Monday to give them a decision on whether we were going to accept the jobs or not. And the only way we could ask any questions about it was over email. So really, we got the job offer on Wednesday. We had the rest of the day Wednesday to send them emails, and then Thursday and Friday, and that's it. Because by Monday morning, we had to have that, give them an answer either yes or no on the job. So they really didn't give us any other options as far as like, well, if you don't accept it, this is what's going to happen. So that's why I asked, and then I was given like a non-answer. And I was like, I obviously knew that I wasn't going to accept it. And I remember like getting back to the car with my husband because he was already in the car, and I told him what they offered me. And he was like, oh, no, I wouldn't accept that. And I was like, obviously, I'm not going to accept it. So the first thing I did when I went back home and went to sleep because I was like, I'm not staying up, whatever. So as soon as I signed in for work, I sent the email and was like, I'm declining the position because I just gave them the reasons like it's not a good fit for my experience. I don't really feel like it's a suitable replacement for the role that I was doing before. And then they took forever to get back with me. Like I said, that was Wednesday. They didn't get back with me until Sunday about declining the job. So I was just like, so I didn't even know what they were going to do up until that point. So I was just like applying for jobs anyway because I was like, I don't trust them because to me, it was like they were trying to force you to make a decision with no other options. Like they were trying to force you into the decision and then make it seem like you made the decision. But like if you give somebody one option and you don't tell them what the other option is, even if it was just like, hey, if you don't take this, then we're considered a resignation, like a 2-week notice. That's fine, but like, be upfront about it. And then also come to find out anybody who accepted those positions, they had to stay in those positions for a year. So even the people that got offered the same position, like a new version of the position, they got locked in for a year into that position. Like within the company, obviously they could leave the company and quit or whatever, but they also didn't disclose that. And other people that were asking questions like, who is my supervisor going to be? What is my schedule going to change? There were like a lot of questions that they were just like, well, we don't have answers to it. Like they even, given that you only had 2.5 days, of course the police had to drive by. You only had 2.5 days to make this decision. They just wouldn't answer any questions really to help you make an educated decision about if this is going to be the best, the best fit for you and your family. Because like, let's say if you had, like for our position, the help desk was open 7 days a week. So a lot of us had to work a weekend day, but some people that had been there longer, because the way it worked was like you could put in for a schedule and it was based off a tenure that you moved to that schedule. Like for instance, my husband worked 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and that's a hard schedule to get. You had to be there for a long time to get that. He'd been in that role for like 4.5 years. So the schedule thing was important because like you kind of based your life around your work schedule. Some people do, at least, especially like we don't have kids, obviously, but like some people do. So not having any of those questions answered and kind of being forced to make a decision in 2 days or whether you're going to accept this position or not, and not knowing what happens if you don't accept it, does that to me, like that's just like them intentionally stacking the deck to in their favor to get you to make the decision that they want to. It's not a real choice. It's like an illusion of choice. But anyway, yeah, they and to go back to the reason that they even offered me the customer service position, they also the part of the company that I worked for was a company they had acquired a company a few years ago. So I did help desk for the company that they acquired. It was after they acquired them. So it was the same company, but we had our own management that was still part of this other company. And basically what they were doing was like finally merging the companies together. The help desk, because we had two separate help desks for each side of the company, and they're basically merging everything together. That was part of this whole thing. So the leadership for our side of the company, they did not know that this was coming at all. Some of the leadership on the other part of the company, even for the help desk, they knew it. They were actually already overseas helping to train the people that were, taking those positions. So they knew about it, but our leadership didn't know about it. So the way they made the decision on who got offered what position was strictly based off of tenure. They didn't talk to the leadership on our side to see who was actually like the best fit for the job and who should be offered the customer service job or who would be, any of that. It was just like, how long have you been there? So basically anybody that was there, people that were there the longest got offered the same position. And then there were three of us that had been there the least amount of time. Like I'd only been there for a year and a half. So that's why I got offered the customer service job. And that's basically what they based it off of. So yeah, even our director, he like got let go within like 2 weeks. My direct supervisor, he's still there, but he ended up transitioning to another role. But he got offered to stay longer, and he was supposed to get a severance, but he ended up getting another job within the company. So yeah, it was a mess. The whole thing was a mess. But to get back to the story, yeah, they called me on Sunday because I worked Sundays anyway. So they called me on Sunday. Actually, okay, to be honest, my supervisor called me before they did, and he told me, he was like, yeah, they've basically taken you declining the job as you giving your 2 weeks notice. So they're taking it as you resigning. And I was like, oh, okay. So he suggested that I just ask him if I can still accept the position. And then just so that way it would buy me more time to find another job. Because it's like, even if you don't want to keep the job, which was cool because like he wasn't really supposed to tell me that information. So he was looking out. But he was like, even if you don't want to keep the job, just to buy you more time. So of course, I got the call from HR, and yeah, they were like, oh, we're giving you 2 weeks. And it wasn't even like 2 weeks at the end of our work week, because I think our work week started on Saturday. It was like literally 2 weeks from the Wednesday when I sent the email. So it was like less than 2 weeks from it was less than 2 weeks from when I found out that they gave me the 2 weeks. It was like the 2 weeks from the day that I sent that email saying that I declined the job. They took that as like my 2 weeks. So, and then I asked him, I was like, yes, can I still accept the job? I wasn't going to actually, if I accepted it anyway, I wasn't going to really stay with the company. I just was trying to buy myself more time. So they went back, and she was like, well, I can ask. And then they went back, and they're like, she got back with me like an hour later. And she was like, no, we've decided to, move forward with accepting your resignation. And I was like, I didn't really mean to resign. And I literally said that. I was like, I declined the position because I was going to apply for other IT positions in the company, because there were other IT positions in the company that I could have applied for. Like they had open positions at the time that I was qualified for. Like the job that I had required 4 to 5 years of experience. Like I got hired in at that level 3, which required 4 to 5 years of experience in IT and experience with SQL and stuff that I already had from other jobs. So it's not like they hired me like with no experience and I didn't have, enough experience to get another job within the company. So it was like whatever. And then I was just like, okay, well, if that's the case, I'm just going to take the rest of my vacation because I was salary and I was not going to get paid out for it. Well, no one was getting paid out for vacation, salary or hourly. I forgot. They were just like, no. Under normal circumstances, they would pay out for it if you were hourly. But since they're letting people off, they're like, you got to take it. We're not paying out for it because they're already doing the severance anyway. And for me, since I was definitely like technically quit according to them, I was definitely not going to get paid out for it. So I took my vacation, and then my supervisor was worried. He was like, "Well, how is it going to look that you're taking your vacation?" And I was like, "This has never been an issue before. Usually, like a company, like the last job that I worked before this one, I put in my 2 weeks, and the HR person came to me and she was like, "Hey, your salary, you're not going to get paid out for this vacation, so you might want to take it before you leave." Like that's all. Like most of them, they don't want to be on the hook for those hours, even if they don't have to pay you out for it. It's just another grievance that an employee could have, about the company. They just want to get that stuff out of the way. They don't even want to deal with it. So I was like, it was so weird. The whole thing was weird. But yeah, the I ended up landing the job like a week after this job ended. So one of the jobs that I applied for the day of the announcement, they called me back. I interviewed for it, and I ended up getting the job. So, and I also had like another job offer on the table too around the same time from a former company that I used to work for because they wanted me back or whatever. So like I ended up being good, but because I went back to like a normal schedule, plus this job that I have now, it's just like an actual IT like versus help desk where like I'm sitting in the chair all day. I'm like actually running around and like troubleshooting stuff, and it's really tiring. Like it's exhausting. And then plus with a change of schedule, it kind of like flipped my whole life around. As far as not like my life around, but like my just my schedule, like as far as the things that I was doing during the week. So it just made everything a lot more difficult as far as getting the videos done. Because now that I was working during the day again, and when I got off work, it was like, well, now I got to go out and go shopping and stuff. Whereas like before, I would just cram everything to the weekend. Like I would just move everything to the weekend. Like I got to do it on the weekend because I don't have any time during the week because I'm working at night. And so that was just a huge change. And like I said, I've just also just been very tired. Like I've been adjusting to this job still. So I started this job in around May. So I've already been here for like 7 months at this point. So I should be adjusted to it, but I'm still finding myself being very tired. And I'm trying to figure out how to work a weekly video back into it because I've really felt like I've only had time for the news video and that's it. Like by the time I get to the weekend, that's when I feel like I finally have time. So yeah, that's basically the story. The long, the very long story of what happened to me last year. It was a stressful time. I'm not gonna say it wasn't stressful. It was stressful, but also I wasn't like super. I wasn't super worried about like declining the job because I had the experience. And then on top of that, I didn't mention this, but the job that I had didn't pay well. So so it was like 15 to 20,000 below what I should have been getting paid for that position, to the point where I knew that even if I got like a level one help desk position, which is basically like the intro, like that's where I started at like 9 years ago. It was like level one. I could have got a level one job that paid the same as what I was making as the level three position because they were underpaying us so much. Even when they did the layoffs and they raised everyone's pay, because everyone they kept, they raised their pay. They raised it, but it was still like 5,000 below what it should have been for that position. So even after they did that, they still weren't paying what they should have been paying. So ultimately, I still ended up at the end making like 13,000 more a year than what I was making before I left. And this is the job that I was forced to find at the last minute. So I wasn't super worried about leaving because they were already underpaying me. And I remember there was like a specific person on our team, and I told them I declined the job. And they're like, "Oh, the job market's tough. Don't do that," and blah blah blah. I'm like, there's in this area that I'm in. I'm not saying that everyone should do this or whatever, but in the area that I'm in, there's a lot of like IT jobs, a lot of companies here. So it wasn't ever like for me, it wasn't like a big worry. It was kind of like, well, I still have connections at other companies that I work for. Plus, there's like a lot of IT opportunities. So yeah, but I ended up at pretty good organization doing IT now. So yeah, it worked out in the end. And also them saying I quit was just them trying to make sure I don't get unemployment, or I didn't get unemployment, which I wouldn't have needed to anyway, because like I said, I found another job and it started like a week after my other job ended. I only had a week gap in pay, which wasn't that bad. But yeah, them saying that I quit after they technically like offered me a job that wasn't even in the same field, that wasn't like a suitable replacement for my job. It was just them saying that I quit so they could try not to have to offer me unemployment, even though they were like laying people off anyway. So there was like a lot of things with the company that was petty. To say the least, I would never work for that company again. I should mention their name, but I'm not going to. I thought about it for a second. I was like, nah. But yeah, so yeah, that's what happened to me last year. I got laid off slash fired, and I also want to say like, to me, a company doing layoffs is not like the end of the world. I get it. Companies are not our friends. They're business. It's them making money, but it's just how you go about it and how you go about treating the employees. To me, that's important, and I don't feel like they were the people that they kept, like the people that they laid off were actually like ended up getting treated better than the people that they tried to keep. But they tried to, like, the people they wanted to keep, they tried to force them into these positions. So that's what I didn't like about the whole thing. And that's kind of why I've always been the way that I am with like coverage. I kind of, there's times where I make fun of every company. I make fun of Nintendo, I make fun of Sony, and I make fun of Microsoft, even though I like all of them. But I like their products. I don't like the companies, you know. They're all companies. I don't trust them. That's just the way that I feel. So when I see, like, sometimes in the comments and stuff and videos, people fanboy out about certain things and certain companies, and I'm just like, you shouldn't put too much stock in the company. It's a company. They're after the money. If you're the profit, they're after you because they're profiting off of you. But they make good products, that's fine. Be a fan of the products. Don't be a fan of the company. That's the way that I've always felt about it. And that's one of the reasons why, like, when it comes down to it, they're going to protect their best interests. And there's nothing wrong with that. But maybe treat your employees better. Maybe treat your customers better. In some cases, like, that's just how that company chooses to represent themselves. That's important to me, at least. So, yeah. Anyway, that whole story was just to say thank you for sticking around with me in 2023. 2024 is going to be a lot more exciting. I'm going to try not to get fired again or quit. Quired. Yeah, I got quired. And we'll see what's going to happen. Well, I know that what's going to happen. ROG Ally review, a lot more PlayStation Portal content. I mentioned in the unboxing video, I wanted to do the network test. I wanted to do like an actual review of it, obviously. And then, yeah, I don't know. We'll see where we go from there. This year is going to be exciting. MSI they announced the Claw at CES, which was interesting. I'm going to cover it in the Sunday video, of course. But the funny thing is, it leaked, and I missed the story. Like, I missed the story of last week's video because I covered the teaser they put out. But yeah, it leaked. It leaked, and I somehow missed it. But yeah, it's an Intel-based handheld, which I think is really interesting. I have some thoughts about it. And my thought is, I just hope it's not. I hope Intel's gotten better with their graphics drivers. They make graphics cards now. I hope they have gotten better with their graphics drivers for their integrated graphics, because I have the GPD-13, and that was an awesome machine, and it would have been so much better if it wasn't for Intel's graphics drivers. So, which is why I like the AMD handhelds. I got my RNG Ally, and I was like, I'm gonna stay here. Also, even with the like Steam Deck, I was like, I'm gonna stay on the AMD side for now. I'm gonna see what Intel's gonna do. I miss Thunderbolt. I really like Thunderbolt. Just being able to connect to eGPU is super cool. I know you can do that with USB 4, but it's kind of hit or miss depending on the computer or handheld. With Thunderbolt, you knew it was gonna work. So it'd be cool to go back to an Intel handheld just because of Thunderbolt. But I'm gonna wait and see with those graphics drivers. I'm gonna look up stuff about it. See when that thing hits the market. Just how it looks. But I'll have more details on it on Sunday. But I think that's gonna bring the 5-year anniversary live stream to a close. Again, thank you for joining. If you join me live or if you watch the archive, yes, that was supposed to rhyme. Thank you for sticking with the channel for another year. You all rock. I'm gonna hit the outro button. I forgot how long I have until it actually like stops. There we go. So I'm going to bed or something. See, this was even designed for at night. Like, whatever. Peace. I'll see y'all on Sunday.